Hello and welcome to the Lunch and Learn on this Thursday, May 2nd. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it's already May. And I have a little special preview that I'm going to share with you today of the Retirement Solved Masterclass that I co host with my life partner and business partner. The class is called Retirement Solved, and we typically offer it every other month, every couple months. And it's all about retirement planning because so many people are like, yeah, maybe I should have a retirement plan, but what is a retirement plan? Like, what should I have in my retirement plan? What should I be thinking about? So, our class is designed to do a few things. One, it's designed to educate people all about retirement planning so they understand what the right retirement plan is. And a quick hint, it's not an investment strategy and it's not a 401k. We'll get into that in a little bit. And secondly, we believe education is so very important. A lot of advisors out there in the world probably would prefer to have their clients left in the dark, but we prefer to show people the light because we believe that when you know more, you can have more and you can have more educated and informed conversations and you can make more informed decisions because our belief is that the right retirement advisor slash financial advisor is going to guide you in the direction that makes sense. And then at the end of the day, you decide. And you can decide and make better decisions when you're educated. So we really, really, really like to see people making a commitment to that education. Now, we offer a 6 hour live and on demand workshop, masterclass, whatever you want to call it. It is probably the only one that I'm actually aware of because we dedicate 6 hours of class time and then we do some Q&A also. And what makes our class even more unique is that we provide what I call a homework portal because there's all kinds of complementary materials in that portal. So, checklists, guides, white papers, research reports, links to external resources that complement what you are learning about retirement planning in the class that we teach. Now, we do it live. Like I said, we actually just taught class one, and class two is on Tuesday, May 7th, class three, the 14th, and class four, the 21st. And what we do is we cover different topics in each of the classes. So, if you didn't show up for one, it's okay. You can go watch the replay, but highly encourage you to check out the other classes. You can jump in and join. You can go to retirementclasssignup.com and you could jump into class two, three, and four and join us live for that retirement planning masterclass. So, again, that's retirementclasssignup.com. Today, what I wanted to do on this Lunch and Learn is go over class one, give you a preview of what we teach in class one. Now, I'm not going to share the slides. I'm just going to talk to some of the points that we share, some of the educational concepts that we share in class one to kind of set us up for the rest of the retirement planning class. So I'm going to jump right in with that. And my little bird that was actually just chirping outside the window has stopped, but it was really cute and it's a sign of springtime. And so this is a perfect time to go ahead, spring clean your financial situation, get educated because you still have a good, 7 months left to the year to make some changes, to do some things, to get your retirement plan in place. And this class is a good first step. So, what we like to ask people kind of at the outset of our class is how would you like to potentially increase your retirement income? Perhaps even for some people, double your retirement income or take that money and leave more onto your heirs. Well, it's usually the answer is usually unequivocally yes. Like, who wouldn't want to increase their retirement income? And potentially, you can do it by not continuing to work. So the whole point of retirement planning is to hopefully get you to a point where you have a work optional lifestyle. Now, of course, that's not the reality for some people. They do have to continue to work in what would be considered the traditional retirement years, but retirement's being redefined, right? We always say, we can help you whether you want to fully retire, semi retire, or never retire. And if you've already retired, there's things you can still do. It's not game over. You can still implement some interesting strategies and do some things even if you have already retired. So, first thing I want to start out with is, did you know that 70% of people voluntarily give up many retirement income benefits because they don't know all the facts? Excuse me. That is a fact. 70%. So, why would you give up retirement income if all it took was to get educated? Like, people spend more time researching, educating, you know, going on vacation, purchasing a car, maybe doing some other research on other topics, health, which is all very, very important. But if you could learn and do some research and take a class like our Retirement Solved planning class, why wouldn't you? And increase your potential income in retirement, increase your knowledge. And then, you know what? I always say, even if it can't help you, significantly, I believe everyone can be better off with some strategies. But you could take that knowledge and teach it to somebody else or pass it on to somebody else, your children, your grandchildren, your niece, your nephew, a friend. Like, there's got to be someone in your life that could benefit from this education and this knowledge. So I always say, once you learn, pass it on, teach someone else. That's the one way to make things that you learn really stick, is when you pass it on to somebody else. So yeah, we created this class. One of the reasons we created this class is because we wanted to help those people that are losing out on their retirement income benefits. As Ben Franklin said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest, and it's so extremely true. We like to say also that our masterclass, although we put a ton of work into it, a ton of time, we really love teaching it. We feel that it's more than a class, and we like people to look at the educational opportunity that we're presenting as more than a class. We really like to think of it as a start of a retirement readiness process that helps you create a plan for retirement that you not only understand, but have 100% confidence in. So it's not just a class, it's a retirement process, either a readiness process if you haven't retired, or perhaps a retirement improvement process if you've already retired. There's 4 steps to the retirement solved readiness process. Step 1 is to get educated by attending our retirement solved class. You could go get a free steak and learn a little bit. Try not to be sold anything without getting fully educated on what you're potentially purchasing. There's things at the library, online, podcasts, books. I mean, access to information is so incredibly wonderful because we didn't used to have so much access to information, easy access, but it can also be overwhelming because there's a lot there. So trying to dig through all the myths and misinformation can be really hard for the average pre-retiree. So, what we attempt to do is to kind of dig through the myths and the misinformation and present research backed education in this class. There's no selling, there's no saying, never buy an annuity or never invest in the stock market or, forget about whole life insurance. No, because those are all potential strategies for the right situation. And we don't know you, we don't know your situation. It's called personal finance for a reason. And we never advise people based on not knowing what their situation is, their goals, their risk tolerance, on and on and on. So that's why it's generic education so important. So step 2 in our process is to assess. It's very important either to have us do it after the class, to look under the hood, your financial hood, see what's there, see what you get, see if there's gaps, what the risks are that you may face, and the opportunities you have to improve your situation. So that's the second step assess. The third step is to strategize and plan. There are a number of unique strategies, retirement optimized strategies, that could potentially put you in a better position. And a lot of people aren't familiar with these strategies because guess what? They've been out living their life. They haven't been like studying retirement planning. Like retirement for some people is like 10 years down the road and they're like, oy vey, I got stuff I got to worry about today. I'm not really thinking about 10 years down the road. But there are things you can do, like from the moment you get your first job, right? You need to be preparing for the future, for retirement, so that you can have that work optional lifestyle someday. But even 10 years out, there are some retirement planning steps that you can take to put yourself in a potentially better position when you are able to say, you know what? Work optional. I'm going to go figure it out. I might leave my corporate job and I might go grow some lilac fields, or I might start an Etsy shop, or I might do some consulting, or I might just hang out with my grandkids and take vacations, whatever it is. So important to understand some strategies that can potentially put you in a better position and then get a plan in place. I'm a huge believer in planning in all aspects of your life and retirement planning because it can represent such a huge transition, such a huge amount of money tied to that transition, right? It's the probably the biggest amount of money you'll ever have in your life. What do you do with it? How do you create a retirement paycheck from that nest egg that you've created? How do you keep more, pay less taxes? How do you make the most informed decisions? How do you protect yourself from risks? And I'm going to cover some of those. And then for the fourth part of the retirement readiness process is to implement, because getting educated, assessing, strategizing, planning doesn't really help if we don't implement, if we don't act on the plan. We have to implement the plan. So that is the fourth step in the retirement readiness process. Now, when you join our classes, you get access to a homework portal, like I mentioned earlier, lots of materials, checklists, great compliment to the class. I over deliver in terms of content, perhaps too much information, but it's all specifically tied to each of the things that you will learn in the masterclass. So there's a method to my madness. You also get access to the Retirement Solved Readiness platform, the Retirement Readiness, Retirement Wellbeing platform, as I've called it also. There's um, Learn, Envision, Assess, Plan, and Implement 5 modules in the software where you can take e-classes, where you can take a complete inventory of everything you have financially, and the software will come back and identify any gaps, risks, and opportunities. There is a smarter spending tracking tool in there so you can really get into tracking your spending and knowing your cash flow. In the inventory, you'll get a net worth report. You get a one-page financial summary, which is pretty cool. There's a planning module so that you can understand planning and what are the opportunities in planning. What is the right retirement plan look like? There's a big checklist of all the things you need to think about as you are preparing for retirement. And then the implementation module is how to find the right advisor. There's a guide to advisors. There's an advisor suitability quiz. Lots and lots of resources in that platform. Again, it complements the class very nicely. Or if you don't end up taking the class, you can go to retirementsolve.io and you can access that platform. Now, when I coach people, do some personal financial coaching focused on retirement, we use that platform as a tool in the coaching process. So if you were to work with Retirement Solved or Her Retirement, whichever one, Her Retirement's just geared more for women. Either case, I use that platform to go through each step in that coaching process, in that retirement readiness process to make sure financially and non-financially you are as prepared as possible. So you get access to that. When you attend the class, you also get a complimentary retirement reliability assessment. Basically, that is done by a CFP who takes a look at everything you got, what you might need, and says, okay, how reliable is your current plan? What can we do to change it? And how reliable would a different plan be? So that retirement reliability assessment is very powerful. It's a great second opinion if you're working with someone, or if you've never taken a peek under the hood and said, "What do I got? What do I need? What am I missing?" That retirement reliability assessment is worth its weight in gold, and you get access to that in the class. So, yeah, we offer a lot. Um, and then we always give gifts of appreciation. We do trivia questions. We try to make this somewhat dry topic, I guess, as fun and interactive as possible. And then you get access to some other educational content on long-term care, Medicare, healthcare, estate planning, all of that protection side of the equation, which we can't cover in the class because we only have 6 hours. You can get access to some e-classes on all those topics. So after we kind of go through that in the retirement masterclass, we introduce ourselves as the instructors. We ask people to watch or participate in all 4 classes. So important because each component kind of works together like a puzzle, retirement solved, putting all the pieces together. And we like people to have an open mind. So when you are learning about retirement and retirement planning, it's really important to have an open mind. It's like reading a book, right? You're reading a book on a new concept. Well, have an open mind so that you can really kind of open your mind to the possibilities and the thought process. Even if, like your neighbor said, you know, eh, I don't know, never buy ceramic brakes for your car, whatever, right? Have an open mind. Do the research, right? You don't just take someone's opinion like, "Oh, reverse mortgage? Oh my gosh, that's the worst thing ever. My friend lost their house." And yeah, there's probably reasons that they lost the house, which we won't get into right now. But keep an open mind because the content that we share is research backed. It's not an insurance zealot or an investment zealot saying this is what you should do. We follow the top academic researchers in the country who influence our content and how we educate people. And then there might be a little bias when we learn more about you and we have a conversation with you and we say, based on what you're telling us, based on the profile we've created on your goals, your needs, your gaps, your risks, now we are going to give you some potentially biased opinions because that's what you hire us for, right? You hire advisors on the advisory side of the equation to give you advice. Okay. So by nature, that is going to be biased, but it's going to be biased based on what you need, what's best for you. And once you get educated, you can say, yeah, I agree. I think this is best for me also. All right. So we do ask people, why they attended, what are their top concerns. We've been doing this for over a decade, so we've been teaching thousands of people at this point about retirement planning. So we've heard a lot. But the number one reason that we teach retirement planning and why you should take a retirement course or courses is that hardworking people like you deserve objective research backed education, guidance, and advice. You deserve to live the best possible retirement and to do that with the least amount of stress. And when you know more, I believe you can have more and you can live more. Very important. So I covered kind of the whole content based on research. And all too often we base investment decisions and retirement decisions on industry marketing or advertising or what an article we might read, which may or may not be done by a retirement expert, what our neighbor says, our brother-in-law, cousin, whatever. But you always have to look at the research behind it. And guess what? All of those sources don't know anything about you. They're just putting out basic information. Even your cousin doesn't know your financial situation. And until he or she does, and until he or she is qualified to give you advice, it's just their opinion, right? So we follow researchers like Moshe Malevsky, Michael Finke, David Blanchett, Jack Gutentag, Wade Pfau, Larry Kolikoff, Michael Kitchis, And that's just to name a few. There's some amazing people in the industry doing some great work, really researching the best strategies for retirees to get educated about and understand. But you know what? It's really hard. Like I said, there's a lot of myths and misinformation, and there's like 300,000 financial advisors out there in the country, and they're all competing for your business and to manage your money. And the issue is a lot of them are focused on the accumulation phase of life. They're not really focused on the retirement side of life, the deaccumulation. You are going to be drawing down your nest egg. Hopefully, you're going to keep it invested, some of it, so it continues to grow while you're pulling from it. But it is considered the deaccumulation phase of life because you are drawing a paycheck from yourself, from your nest egg. And there's so many decisions to be made in that process and so many potential gaps and risks and opportunities. So you really want to make sure that you're aware of those and you're harnessing those, you're filling the gaps, mitigating the risks, and taking advantage of those opportunities. And in the words of one of the researchers we follow, Dr. Wade Pfau, he says most advisors concentrate solely on managing investments. They don't incorporate all the intricate retirement strategies that must be utilized to dramatically increase the probability of a retiree's success. So, quick example, I was chatting with a woman a couple weeks ago, talking about doing some financial coaching with her. And she said, "Well, what about Social Security?" And I said, "Well, I've learned quite a bit about Social Security. I've done a lot of research. It's just one of those areas that I know pretty well. What's your question?" She said, "Well, I called my guy at one of the big investment companies who has her 401k." She said, "Well, I have two questions for you, Mr. So and so. I'm getting closer to retirement and we've talked about it, but you haven't brought up any retirement planning." Now, she had taken my class, so she was kind of like, I fed her some of these questions, which is the whole point, right? Anyway, she says, like, "When are we going to talk about it?" And he's like, "Well, like, what are you trying to figure out? I mean, you have a good nest egg and, you can just take the money out when you need it." And she's like, "Well, okay, will there be like a system or a process for how I take the money out?" And, they were on the phone, but you could feel the blank stare from this person. And then she said, "Well, how about Social Security? Like, when should I claim my Social Security?" Again, queued up from me because she learned about Social Security and timing strategy. And he's like, "Well, when do you feel like taking it?" She's like, "Well, I don't know. Like, is there optimal time to take it?" He's like, "You know what? Just take it when you feel like taking it." All right. So that like I was like, "Can I call this person?" Number 1, it's pretty negligent to be giving people advice on Social Security if you don't know anything about Social Security. Just say, "I don't know, you should talk to a Social Security expert." Number 2, you can't really answer that question. Like when she asked me, I said, "Well, it depends. We have to run a retirement income projection. We have to look at all your numbers. We have to put everything together. I need to ask you some questions like, how do you feel about your longevity? Do you plan to continue to work? Do you have a spouse? Are you divorced?" Like, there's so many other questions that have to be answered before you can tell someone this is the best time for you to claim your Social Security. So, big, big red flag. So, if your advisor can't answer the list of questions that I provide you, if you'd like those list of questions, then maybe he or she is not the right person for this time in your life. They might have been great for growing your assets, managing your investments, but they might not be able to help you transition into retirement and give you all the information, the education, and the guidance that you need to get more, to know more, to have more, to live more. Why settle for subpar guidance, right? It just doesn't really make any sense. Um, you know, again, there's so many advisors, but when you look at the statistics, 81% of people don't know how much income they need to retire. Okay. 84% don't have a written retirement plan. 61% of people fear outliving their income more than they fear death. So clearly, the financial services industry has not prepared people well enough for retirement. Now, there's 10,000 people turning 65 every day, and 65 is kind of late to be to be getting ready for retirement. Now, if you plan to live to 70, yeah, you got another 5 years, but there's so many things you could have done before 65. Maybe you've already claimed Social Security and maybe you claimed it at the wrong time. There's just strategies and solutions that you may have been able to look at prior. But these statistics point to the fact that there is a gap in retirement planning advice in the industry. Now, I will say in the last couple of years, retirement advisors have been popping up left and right. Maybe not in your neck of the woods, maybe they haven't come into your purview, but they are out there. So, if you do find a retirement advisor, you still need to vet them. You still need to see their qualifications. You need to talk to some of their clients. You need to see what they add for value. What are they actually doing for you? What are they charging for fees? What kind of fee structure? All of those things. So you still need to vet them because just because they hang a shingle outside that says retirement advisor or retirement coach does not mean they're up to the standard that you should have for your retirement. All right. I mentioned that there's so much information, there's silos and biases. There's investment silo, there's insurance silo, there's tax CPA silos, there's Medicare people and estate planning attorneys. And I like to say that you need or could really benefit from someone that can pull all that together. And it's almost like one stop, where that one stop has their expertise, and then they have resources in the areas where they don't have expertise because it's impossible for one or even a couple of people to know all of these things. So, you want to make sure that they have a team-based approach and they have access to the experts. So, for instance, when I coach women, I'm coaching. I'm not a reverse mortgage specialist, but if I see that that might be an opportunity for you to leverage the dead asset of your home, I will hook you up with one of the experts in my network. If I see that, another good example is, the person preparing your taxes really didn't do an assessment to see where your opportunities are to pay less taxes now, I'll hook you up with my provider where we do an analysis of your tax return and see where those gaps, risks, and opportunities are in your tax return. Let's say you need elder care or you need health coaching or things that are not financial. I have network of experts that can connect you. So you want to make sure that the person you're working with, if they don't have that expertise, like Medicare, big, big topic. A lot of advisors are like, no. I mean, I know enough to be dangerous about Medicare, but I have two different experts, two different models for how they work with people to help you get the best Medicare advice. So in my case, I'm out there vetting these resources so that you don't have to go Googling down the rabbit hole to find these resources. I'm going to bring them to you in one nice package and I'm going to have you go off and speak to them, and we're going to integrate it all together into one retirement readiness solution. Okay. So silos are hard because they're disconnected, and you're making decisions that are interrelated, but they're from separate people, so they're not connected. That's tough. And, when you work with a silo, like let's say you go talk with an insurance person, they might say, "Oh, don't put your money in the stock market, put it all in, protected insurance products." The investment guy, like our friend from Fisher Investments, I hate annuities and you should too. Well, the research proves in some instances, annuities are a great solution for people. If you want protected guaranteed income for life, and you don't want to have a major part of your portfolio exposed to stock market risk and the volatile markets and things called sequence of return, well, you know what? You might want to buy your own personal pension plan in the form of a guaranteed annuity. But I can't tell you that. I can educate you about that. And that's what we do. We educate you and we alert you to pay attention to these extreme biases and not buy into them when they're generic like this. Not until you get an assessment and you say, why? Why should I do this? Okay. I actually went through this session with an advisor and we got through the whole thing. And I had told him throughout the conversation, that I was concerned, that I was thinking about, you know, protected income. My mom was a teacher, she had a pension, and he just kept saying, "Well, here's how your portfolio will be allocated. Portfolio, portfolio, portfolio." And, we're wrapping up. And so I said to him, "Well, what if I wanted a guaranteed income stream like I've been kind of alluding to throughout the last hour?" And he was like, "Well, yeah, perhaps you'd want to look at an annuity, um, but that's not something we do." So I left the meeting feeling like, okay, well, why am I going to hire you to do my retirement plan if you can't look at the annuities because you're just an investment company? And that might be a key piece of my outcome. Like, if that's truly what I want. So now I got to go find an annuity person who doesn't know anything about investments, yet they should be integrated together. So it's just a weird situation, a weird conversation, and I was like, "This doesn't really work for for retirees." Um, anyway, we feel and we teach in the class that a better way is the middle way between those two extremes. Buddha probably said it best, "The middle way is a path of moderation and wisdom between extremes." A lot of things in life are way too extreme, right? Religion, politics, financial advice, and what you might find is the middle way might be the best way for you. A balance, right? Where you can pull in all these different elements, but not everybody can do that. And the the people that can are called what I call hybrid retirement advisors or coaches who look at the complete picture, and they are out there. They're investment licensed, insurance licensed, they understand estate, tax planning, super important for a lot of people. Um, yeah, so get that checklist from me if you'd like it. You can email me, lynnt@herretirement.com. All right. Next thing I want to cover is what the right retirement plan includes. All right. Like I said, it's more than a 401k or more than an investment strategy. The right retirement plan incorporates a number of non traditional strategies to improve the efficiency, sustainability, and protection of your retirement income. All right. So, efficiency, sustainability, and protection. And I really like the word reliability. And that's why we do a retirement reliability assessment as a second step in the readiness process, because you need to find out what you have and how reliable it is and how you can make it even more reliable. Reliability, right? It means trustworthy, to be able to be counted on. That is so important when it comes to your retirement plan and your retirement income plan. All right. So, in the masterclass that we're teaching right now, for the next 3 Tuesdays, May 7th, 14th, and 21st, class one, we already did this past Tuesday. You can watch it on demand as a replay, or you're watching right now. We cover four of these strategies. They're focused on the income side of the equation because we don't have time to focus on the protection side. But we cover income planning and Social Security. We're going to do that on May 7th. We talk about retirement optimized portfolios in class three. We also talk about home equity, I'm sorry, in class two, because it could potentially be a income stream. And in class four, we talk about tax planning and how to take the next steps to take action once you've learned all these strategies. So those are the four strategies that we cover in the four classes. And it's important to understand that when you take these strategies and add them into what you currently have, you can potentially increase your outcomes. So at the very outset of today's live, I said that you could potentially increase or even double in some cases your retirement income which means you'd have more money in retirement or you leave more money onto your heirs. Well, there's been several research studies. Again, I said we're research backed. There's been several research studies that show this alpha, right? Alpha is an increase above and beyond. So there's been several research studies that prove that when you add these strategies beyond just investments, you could potentially improve your retirement outcome. And we go into those studies and we give you access to those studies in our homework portal. One of the concepts we also teach about in the class is the safe withdrawal rate, SWR. Very important to understand the safe withdrawal rate because you don't want to overdraft your nest egg, your portfolio. So you really need to understand the safe withdrawal rate and how much you can safely take out of your portfolio without running out of money. So we share a bunch of research from Morningstar on safe withdrawal rates and where safe withdrawal rates are today based on today's market. We share some other research from Vanguard and InvestNet on the difference that retirement strategies can make on your retirement outcome, and we put those in a numerical sense so that you understand the financial impact of having more with these strategies. We also go through a case study, which I can't go through now because it's live, and we go through a retirement planning software, and we show you how adding in these strategies in a sample case with John and Jane Sample, we show you their income sources, their social security, the amount they have in investments, their home value, and then we take you through and we just go in and we show you turning on these different strategies how much more they can have in retirement. It's a very powerful case study, and people find it fascinating because it's something that probably they've never really seen before. It's great, and you can watch that in detail in the replay of this class. So if you would like access to class 1 of our Retirement Solved Masterclass, just reach out to me, Lynn T at herretirement.com, and I'll connect you with the class. I won't have time today to cover the risks, so I do encourage you to go watch the class because we cover these and we cover them again in each week where we talk about each topic. Each topic, like retirement optimized portfolios, has risks that we are trying to mitigate with that strategy. So when you optimize your retirement portfolio, you are mitigating the risks of volatility and something called sequence of return risk. And we go into that in the first class, and then we cover it again when we talk about retirement optimized portfolios. But it's so important in retirement to have a risk protected plan. When you do, it allows you to make this statement: neither stock market losses, rising interest rates, inflation, or tax increases will have a noticeable impact on either the amount of income produced by my portfolio or my ability to keep that income growing. So if you are able to make that statement, you have a really well planned out risk mitigation strategy for your retirement or set of strategies. The number one risk, and I'm going to close out today's live with this, the number one risk that we face is longevity risk. If we only knew how long we were going to live, it would make this so much easier. But we don't. But people live longer than they expect. That's the bottom line. There's this whole concept of longevity literacy that people, they just don't understand how long they can potentially live. I think it's ingrained in our minds, especially my age group, that, okay, you work, you live, you work, you retire, and then you drop dead. Well, that's not happening. People are living into their 90s and their 100s. In fact, there's a facility up in New York where people of advanced age live, and they used to have parties for 100-year-old people. They have so many 100-year-olds now that they have to have group parties. There's no more individual parties because there's so many 100-year-old people. Married couples age 65, there's a 50% chance that one spouse will live to 92 and a 25% chance that one will live to age 97. So, how do we mitigate longevity risk? We plan for it. All right. Now, Some people say, you know what, I have no longevity in my family. I don't want to plan out to 95 or 100. Okay, we can guide, you decide. All right. But you're taking a chance that you will outlive all your other family members. My dad is a great example. He's 87. All his other family members have passed away. And no, he did not think he would live this long. My father in law's 94, my uncle, 95. Anyway, you have to make sure that you take and understand longevity and its impact, and you plan for longevity in your retirement plan. Now, there's other risks like inflation. I talked about market volatility, which you'll learn about in if you join us for the third class on portfolios. Or if you rewatch this class, you'll learn a little bit about these risks: interest rate risk, tax risk, which we cover in our fourth class of our masterclass. And of course, when you are doing your retirement income projections, which we cover in class 2, which is happening May 7th, we talk about expenses. And one huge expense is healthcare. So there is healthcare risk and the expense of healthcare. You need to plan for that, as well as long-term care risk. So anyway, takeaways from this really short highlight of our first class in our 4-part masterclass is you need to question and challenge traditional approaches. And when you do, you may find new opportunities because there are some very unique retirement optimized strategies, and you need to understand what they are. And potentially you can take advantage of them to improve your retirement outcome. You need to base your financial decisions, your retirement decisions on data and research versus hearsay, or, as in the case of the woman that I shared with you, best guesses. Like, don't do anything just because you feel like it. You might get the data, consider it, get educated, and then put your personal feelings into the equation. That's fine. Always ask why, show me the research, right? Don't stay in the dark. There's nothing wrong when you meet with someone to say, tell me more, educate me. I don't understand. You're speaking in tongue, this financial jargon I don't get. Simplify it, make me understand it, and get 100% transparency on what they're doing, the value they're adding, and the fees they are charging. Fees are an issue in the absence of value, so make sure you understand the value. The right plan incorporates what we call multidiscipline retirement strategies, or in her retirement world, we call them HEROES, her efficient retirement optimized strategies. We covered some of them, and then our masterclass goes into each one in detail so that you really understand them. Understanding the safe withdrawal rate is very important, and your plan must mitigate the what ifs, or at least you need to accept the risk and say, you know what? I'm not going to spend money on long-term care. It's just way, way out of the realm of possibility for me financially. So I'm accepting the long-term care risk. But there are some ways to cover a long-term care incident. It's just one of those strategies. So I thank you very much for watching today and getting a sneak peek of our class 1 in the Retirement Solved Masterclass, the industry's only 6-hour retirement planning masterclass that we offer live and on demand over at retirementsolved.io. And if you're watching this in May of 2024, we have class 2 on May 7th, class 3 on May 14th, and class 4 on May 21st. Love to have you jump in for any or all of those classes. And when you do, you will get a replay of any classes that you missed, along with access to the portal, along with a free retirement reliability assessment, access to the Retirement Solved Readiness software platform. And yeah, potentially you could come on and win some trivia prizes as well. So, anyway, here's to knowing more, having more, and living more. That is the whole point of doing proactive retirement planning. Whether you plan to fully retire, semi retire, or never retire, it's all about having a plan that helps you have a work optional, financially confident, financially free life. All right. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Thanks for watching today.